I'm Dave Baker.
And I'm Andrew Price.
Welcome to Deep Cuts, the podcast where we pick a topic and walk you through the ins, the outs, and the nitty-gritty so you can appear like an interesting and idiosyncratic person at your next forced social function. Today's topic is...
Vincent Gigante.
Vincent the Chin Gigante was a crime boss infamous for two petty stellar feats. One, sounding like a Dick Tracy villain, and two, feigning mental illness in order to avoid prosecution for a lifetime of crime. Most surprisingly, he almost pulled it off.
Act 1. The Rise of the Chin. Vincent Louis Gigante was born on March 29th of 1928 in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, a neighborhood teeming with Italian-American immigrants. His parents, Salvatore and Yolanda Gigante, hailed from Naples. Salvatore worked diligently as a watchmaker, while Yolanda contributed as a seamstress. Despite, or maybe because of, this mild upbringing, young Vincent gravitated towards the more gritty aspects of the city. That's an easy thing to do when you see your folks toiling away while others in the same neighborhood are thriving. And look, we've seen this sort of childhood play out again and again. From Scorsese to Coppola, there are boundless stories about kids who either want or need a, better might not be the right word, but it's the first that comes to mind, life. There's a reason a story like Gigante's is a trope, because it happens. Again and again, you see young, particularly male children get lured into a lifestyle that promises them better circumstances than the one they're in, only to really be led down a path of violence with no real way out. To be clear, we're talking about organized crime, not the US military recruiting high school students, although they're not entirely dissimilar. But before all that, Gigante abandoned formal education at 16 and pursued a career in boxing. Standing at 5 feet 7 inches, he fought 25 matches as a light heavyweight between 1944 and 1947, securing 21 victories. That's a solid record too. Gigante had a knockout rate of 9.52%. He took on the moniker The Chin from his mother's affectionate Italian pronunciation of Vincenzo. Despite having a knack for the sweet science, Gigante was lured by a job that required getting hit in the head less often. Not no hits, but fewer. There are no reasons to be found why Gigante left boxing behind. You can imagine him being scouted for his natural abilities and the promise of money. We only know that by the early 1950s, Gigante had immersed himself in organized crime, becoming a protege of Vito Genovese, a prominent figure in the underworld. Gigante's loyalty and ruthlessness facilitated his ascent within the Genovese crime family. His criminal record expanded to include arrests for auto theft, arson, and other felonies, making his transition from the boxing ring to clandestine corridors of the mafia. Despite the romanticized portrayals of the mafia in film and television, life in organized crime was brutal and unforgiving. The Genovese family, one of the 5 families that controlled the New York City underworld, was involved in just a myriad of illicit activities, from loan sharking to labor racketeering. Gigante, with his physical prowess and unwavering loyalty, quickly proved to be an indispensable asset to the crime family, and he was eager to prove as much with every chance given.
Are you a big organized crime fan? Do you like... I know it's a silly question, but there are people that are like really into it.
It's a silly question, but also it's funny because it's like, I was like, what do I ask if Dave loves
the answer is yes.
Crime?
The answer is yes. The answer is
I
absolutely do.
Yeah, people have a fascination with it, but it's just such an odd.
Well, it's like true crime.
It's an odd subject to like get in, like to drill into, because it's like, you love crime,
right? But I mean, in this context, it's like being into World War II history. Like, no one loves the tragedy of war, but some people are very drawn to the history of organized crime, and they're interested in the 5 families, or they're interested in the Mauve Hand, or, you know, Crips and Bloods, or, you know, whatever. Like, there are people that are really interested in that specific strain of true crime.
I'm telling on myself a little bit here, because these things are increasingly not looked upon positively. But I was always much more of a serial killer type true crime guy than an organized crime or mafia guy. Like I always had a fascination with true crime in the realm of serial killers. But But even then, I hesitate to really like endorse that because, especially as a 37-year-old man, I'm just like, some of these people who are into these things, it's kind of odd. Like they seem to get off on just listening to the grim and gruesome details of murders, which I'm not into that. And we kind of stray away from that on this show. Like we don't do really like straight true crime episodes. And when we do a true crime topic, usually there's a prerequisite that there's something else to the story that's the actual focus of it. And then the fact that there's some kind of true crime element is just sort of incidental. But even when I was younger, when I was really into watching like serial killer documentaries and stuff like that, I was never really into like, I just love hearing about like fucking people getting cut up.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm really fascinated in the psychology behind it.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are.
And I think there's a similar thing with organized crime. The reason why people are fascinated by it, for whatever reason, it never really resonated with me in that way. I've never been too big into like organized crime or mafia media. I mean, I like movies that are about true crime or organized crime. Obviously I like Godfather 2, Goodfellas, so on and so forth. I like those movies, but I'm less interested in like, these are movies about like the mafia, and I just like them as movies.
Gotcha.
Stories about family and betrayal and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
Which I think is the reason why people like organized
the Shakespearean
crime. But for whatever reason, it
undertones,
just never resonated with me in that way.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I love mafia history and true crime. I've been to the like mafia museum in Vegas, and like I'm very interested in, a bunch of my family. Like my family immigrated from Spain to New York and got kind of screwed over by some people early on in our like family history, where my great grandfather came over and had an auto body shop and was working to bring the rest of his family and his brother over, and the person that he partnered with in the auto body shop may or may not have been connected to organized crime in some way, but at the very least duped him out of the store. And so my family has this kind of like history of, when they immigrated, they were relatively well-to-do, and then almost in like 5 years of getting to the States, they were like penniless and had to kind of like rebuild themselves. And this is like 3 generations ago. So
you have like an intense generational vendetta against the mafia.
Well, it's just kind of fascinating to me because I feel like, the history of capitalism in the States and how organized crime is like this very... Look, they did some really bad stuff. I'm not here condoning everything that they do, but I think
the mafia destroyed my family, but that shit's kind of cool.
Well, I think I'm very fascinated with it because I'm very fascinated about the tension between the legal system, the laws of a culture, the culture of a culture, and when those things vibrate against each other, right? Like, I'm really interested in the history of like bootlegging and prohibition era, people who made ungodly amounts of money selling alcohol. I'm very interested in those gray areas where like, is something morally permissible but illegal? That's interesting. Or vice versa. Is it morally not permissible but it is legal? Like the tension there is always fascinating to me. And the just speaking purely about the hierarchy of like a fraternal order of people who come to the States and are oppressed by a dominant class and decide to join together to fight back, to make a living and protect their own, like, in one perspective is a very noble thing. And then they're also murdering people. So that's not good. But there's it's interesting to see the tensions in between those things.
Well, it goes back to the tension and or like the sort of like almost musical dissonance between those two concepts. Because that's the part that is fascinating to me. Because like you said, there have been many examples of this throughout history, not just in the mafia, but the mafia is a very big and specific example of that like almost every ethnic group that's immigrated to the United States has developed their own form of the mafia for those specific reasons. Which
like
is like
the Hmongs in the Midwest.
We move into this country to seek some opportunity, the American dream. It doesn't necessarily go that way, and then you kind of like create your own destiny at that point, where you're like, all right, maybe we didn't come into this country and just get the the fucking red carpet like we kind of thought was supposed to happen. But there's a lot of freedoms to navigate within this country, to do things on your own and sort of build yourself in a particular way.
Yeah.
And there's an opportunity to rebrand yourself in this context. And so a lot of these people operating in the extra legal shadows outside of the mainstream infrastructure of the law built their own mini ecosystems within the United States, given that level of freedoms that we have here that maybe doesn't exist in some countries that they immigrated from.
And also the fact that it is both, it's a fraternal order where they think of themselves as a familial structure. They're organized like the military, but you literally have to like become blood brothers with these people and like go through arcane rituals and swear fealty. And inevitably everyone has that oath put to the test where there is some juncture between the hierarchies of power and your loyalty to your fellow class, you know, whether that be a racial class or an economic class. Like that is just inherently dramatic and so compelling to me.
Yeah, and that's where the tension comes in, where everything we were just talking about, but then, you know, in the spirit of like absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
Then these people get so powerful because they don't have the regulated boundaries of organizations operating within the realm of the law and the established structural hierarchy and ecosystem of a government or something like that. So in the margins of that, these people become incredibly powerful, like more powerful in some cases than any politician.
I mean, so much so that there are credible narratives that are like the reason John F. Kennedy maybe isn't around is because of alliances that he made with organized crime and then immediately backtracked on. That's, again, fascinating. Again, I don't know how much of it I believe or don't believe. And the fact that most people that enter that system get fucked by it. Like, there's no getting out alive, you know, whether that's existential or literal. You either go to prison or you become like Henry Hill and you like rat on all your friends and then spend the next 30 years of your life making really shitty paintings about rats on pizza. Like it's amazing. Well, it's so cool.
That goes to the thing about organized crime or the mafia that is the most interesting thing to me, and it's the reason why my favorite mob movie is Miller's Crossing. Getting into a situation you can never get out of,
right?
And it basically entrapping yourself and your life entirely into this ecosystem of familial bonds and loyalty and all these things like that, which up front it all sounds really good and simpatico and this is great. We are loyal to each other and we stick up for one another and we don't betray each other. But then that becomes this prison that you can never quite escape from.
Yeah.
That's really fascinating to me. And it also, the other thing that's fascinating to me is, you know, we live in such a surveillance culture where it feels like everything you're doing is being watched and tracked to some capacity. And there's really nothing you could truly do anonymously or in secret. The only reason why you're able to do things in private is because somebody's allowing you to, basically. So the idea that somebody could, within that system, actually operate something that is outside of the boundaries of the law, and that there could be almost this romantic melodrama playing out of these rival families getting into these skirmishes and betraying each other, and all this stuff is somehow able to happen within an organized society is like super fascinating to me.
I think there's kind of like two parallel stories here. One is, you know, as we're going to talk about the like crushing weight of capitalism and how people will do anything to get out from the perceived, you know, jackboot of that. And then there's another, which is kind of there's organized crime, and then there's organized crime that escapes out into the culture, and like people like John Gotti, or this isn't organized crime, but people like the famous bank robbers from the 30s, you know, like fucking Bonnie and Clyde, or fucking, what's the guy, he got killed in Tucson, I can't think of his name. He was a very famous bank robber, as part of a crew of Babyface whatever, Machine Gun Kelly. something Gunn.
Post Malone.
Post Malone, White Iverson. Yeah. But all of those guys, right? Like the like, they are a little weird organization, but they're kind of before this, right? They're either poor Irish dudes.
The Untouchables.
Yeah,
what's his
no,
name?
not Al Capone, but the like bank robbers. They made that movie Public Enemies about them.
I'm trying. The guy that Johnny Depp played.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of his name.
I can't either. He got killed. Like he got found in Tucson at the Congress Hotel. I've slept in the room that he slept in before he was killed in Tucson. That type of person, like that, someone who becomes an urban folklore or an urban myth because they've bucked the system so well, is a separate thing from like the reclusive, the Don Corleone archetype, right? Like the guy who Tony Soprano is based on was a garbage magnate in New Jersey who made so much money that he bought a like AAA hockey team and then put his like 20-year-old son as the manager of the team, and they basically became like this kind of Raiders-esque ruffian squad where they introduced all this weird stuff where they would have like WWE style.
Dave. We've done an episode about this.
Yes, that's right. We did.
The Danbury
I forgot.
Trashers.
Yes, the Danbury Trashers. Watch this. Can you remember that motherfucker's name? Can you remember that guy's name?
No.
Oh.
But I'm just
how mighty
you're not like
fallen.
you weren't like, oh, like that episode we did. You totally didn't remember that we did. I totally
didn't
about
remember.
That.
But like he's a perfect example of someone who has not escaped into the public conscious, but you can be like, he inspired Tony Soprano, and everyone's like, oh. It's interesting to me. I'm compelled by those types of people because it requires a level of performance that is fascinating, because you have to constantly be like, I'm fucking the man, I'm fucking super tough, don't fuck with me. It's interesting because every one of those dudes is scared as shit and is like, fuck, all my friends are gonna murder me in 5 minutes. Not because like a hyper masculine performance is inherently cool. To me it's not, but it's cool when it's a weird hyper masculine performance that comes from a sense of weakness and like, I am required to do this because my best friend might murder me. Like, that's really weird.
But another aspect of it that, like you said, it's not, it's bad to ruthlessly murder people. It's not a good thing. Also ripping people off, committing a bunch of crimes, tons of fraud, a lot of victims, a lot of victims. But, there's also like an aspect of it where like the original spirit, going back to the original spirit of what organized crime, maybe I'm more interested in organized crime than I even thought I was, but the original spirit.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you're like, I don't really like this. And I'm like, really? Because this is like everything that you and I are jointly interested in. And also everything I say, you go, actually, yeah, that's right.
But there's a lot of like cultural aspects of it that I'm apparently very fascinated by. And another one is the pageantry of it, or like the performance of it. Everything that this country stands for is all really disseminated around a structure of power. Laws have become canonized as gospel. The American mafia harkens back to a mentality that a lot of people pretend like they have, but I don't think they actually do have. Like, you have all these conservatives who are just like, oh, fucking, I will rise up against a tyrannical government or whatever, unless they tell me to do something, and then, yes, I will, daddy. Like, it's just total posturing. But there was a time when people genuinely were just like, I don't give a fuck what the government says. And prohibition is an amazing example of that. They were like, you can't drink alcohol anymore, can't sell alcohol anymore, and everyone was like, fuck that. And it wasn't just breaking the law, but it was like I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm saying this in a just a literal way. These people were like domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
They were like, fuck this. We're going to build an entire infrastructure that's based on saying, fuck you, we're still going to do this anyway. And cops would come and like try to bust places up, and they would just fucking murder them. They would just shoot them.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's good, but like there was a time when people weren't just like bootlickers by default. which I think most people are, and then you have to like work your way out of that and start to like unpack that almost in like a religious deconstruction way.
Yeah.
And that was not how people were by default in the past. That's like a recent thing from like, the 1950s on. The American Mafia, it's like a weird symbolic representation of that, not just that mentality, but like...
To me, the thing that's so fascinating about the Mafia, which we've kind of already said, is like they are an outgrowth of the pressures of capitalism. They're a seedy, dark mirror version of the American dream, which is really fascinating to me, that people would be like, by any means necessary, I'm going to pursue the security of those that I love, and I'm going to elevate myself out of poverty. And if that means murdering somebody, so fucking be it. Like, that's dark. And also, frankly, more of an honest depiction of American history than I think most of us want to admit.
And this is our boy Vincent Gigante in his boxing days.
Dude, look at this guy. He's got the silk shorts. He's got the boxing boots. He's got those old-timey small gloves. I love the small gloves. Interesting that his nickname was the Chin, because his chin is not that crazy.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
it's like a normal-ass chin.
He's no Jay Leno.
No. Can you imagine if Jay Leno played Vincent Gigante, though, in a biopic? What's the matter, guys? What's going on here? What's going on? We just gonna... Is it me? I'm just crazy. I'm crazy. I don't even know what's going on. Hey, guys.
What do you call it when somebody only brings up a bit as an excuse to try and do an impression?
Is it me trying, or is it me doing? I don't know, guys. Hey, guys. What's going on? I just don't even know. I don't even fucking know. Let's get Conan in here. Let's have him be this guy.
Yeah, I don't think he has like a Brooklyn accent.
Guys, what if Conan played Vincent Gigante in the movie? Guys, what do you think? No, you want it to be me? You want me to play? Oh, I guess I could play him. Okay. Sorry, Conan. See you later.
I can't place it, but that's not Jay Leno. That's something else.
Do you have a Jay Leno?
I mean, not really.
That's interesting. It's interesting.
I did do a very short Jay Leno impersonation in a top secret project that we're working on. I say like, oh yeah, everybody get a load of this guy. Everybody get a load of this guy.
That is the be all end all of Jay Leno impersonations. Interesting. Okay.
Listen, I may not know art, but I know what I like.
Interesting.
You don't have to be an impressionist to know a good impression whenever you hear it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting.
Is this still the Jay Leno?
No, it's not. This is me processing. It's fascinating that this is how your brain works. Okay.
Well,
all I'll say is Vincent Gigante looks like a guy who's very comfortable in shorts. He seems like a type of guy who probably walks around his house in boxer shorts and nothing else.
Vincent Gigante, he looks like in about 10 years, when he's like a 35-year-old dad, he would just his. Dude,
this is the 50s. This guy probably had children when he was like 14.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, in 6 months.
Yeah, when he's grandfather.
When he's got a teenage son.
Yeah.
And his teenage son has got his friends over, and he'll just walk out. Like they're all sitting around the living room playing poker or something like that. Whatever they fucking did in the 50s.
Yeah.
Instead of playing video games.
Yeah.
And he would just walk out just butt naked.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And just,
hey guys.
And just be like, did you take out the trash?
Hey guys, did you got the trash? Hey guys, what's going on? Hey, Vinny Jr., you got the trash? You gonna take it out?
The mid-20th century mafia landscape was a turbulent arena of power struggles. After the deportation of Charles Lucky Luciano, leadership of the Genovese family fell to Frank Costello, a decision that irked Vito Genovese, who believed he was the rightful heir because the similarities between the five families and the warring houses of Game of Thrones is bottomless. Determined to usurp Costello, Genovese orchestrated an assassination plot enlisting his trusted associate Vincent Gigante to execute the plan. On May 2nd, 1957, as Costello returned to his Manhattan apartment, Gigante lay in wait. As Costello entered the lobby, Gigante fired a shot. Miraculously, the bullet grazed Costello's head and he survived. When questioned by authorities, Costello, adhering to the Mafia's code of silence, refused to identify his attacker. Despite this, Gigante was arrested after being identified by the doorman and stood trial for attempted murder. In a twist emblematic of Mafia influence, he was acquitted, with Costello's refusal to testify sealing the case's collapse. While loyalty and silence was touched on a little earlier, it's important we circle back here for a moment. This is a man who refused to identify and then testify against the man who shot him. And look, it's strange times with entrusting anything to the Justice Department, let alone the police, but that is maybe a bridge too far. Because at the end of the day, someone like Costello isn't basking in some sort of Buddha-like forgiveness, just participating in a cycle of violence that orbits all 5 of these legendary families. This botched assassination had profound repercussions. Costello, shaken by the attempt on his life, relinquished control, allowing Genovese to ascend to power. Gigante's loyalty had not only solidified his standing within the family, but also set the stage for his future dominance. Gigante had demonstrated a crucial skill. He was willing to get his hands dirty when necessary. In the cutthroat world of organized crime, loyalty was everything. And by proving his commitment to Genovese, Gigante ensured that he would be rewarded with power, influence, and wealth. It's also crazy how, because of everything we talked about before, and this almost magical realism of what organized crime is within the context of modern society and how it just doesn't feel like something like this is real because
it would be so much harder
we've
now.
Built so many structures for preventing or de-incentivizing these things. All these things, they sound like they're from a movie.
Yeah.
They're very cinematic.
And also that it's a whole subgenre of movie now. That this, if they made this into a movie today, it would be called The Trigger Man, the Vincent Gigante story or something. It's interesting because it actually, part of what you're saying of it feels like a movie because these events and events like these have been adapted into movies and formed its own genre of movie. It's now a weird self-fulfilling prophecy where organized crime feels like a movie because all these movies have been made about organized crime, and the movies glorify organized crime and depict it in a specific light that is both kind of looking down their nose on it, on the, usually Italian immigrants that were a part of this, but also glorify them and, kind of hold them up as these shining examples of the American experience. But then there's this strange tension between those two ideas where there are some people in, Italian advocacy groups that feel like it's a harmful stereotype and others that feel like, look at what these people have accomplished. They're notable and memorable historical figures, and also everything you're talking about now of how so many of the organized crime families, or even just junior mob bosses, got taken down because one guy in their organization kept a ledger of everything, written on a notebook, and now your text message chain is a ledger, and if you and I had to communicate over payphone, I don't even know where I would go to find a payphone. You know what I mean?
I'm at a payphone trying to call Dave. How the fuck do you do this shit?
I'm just saying, it's fascinating to me and also deeply sad because it's we now live in this super dystopian future where everything is theoretically safer, but also so much less interesting and also so much more frustrating in terms of everything that's happening right now. As you know, I don't even need to say it. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Yeah, something, that quote from Benjamin Franklin about sacrificing freedom for safety or whatever.
Yeah.
By the 1980s, Vincent Gigante had risen to the pinnacle of the Genovese crime family. His leadership was characterized by a shrewd blend of strategic alliances and ruthless enforcement. Under his rule, the family's operations flourished, encompassing extortion, loan sharking, and control over labor unions. At its zenith, the Genovese family's illicit enterprises reportedly generated over $100 million annually, which is just an astronomical amount of money, especially for the son of immigrants who had maintained a modest working-class lifestyle. However, Gigante's most enigmatic maneuver was his elaborate portrayal of mental instability. Really quick before we go to this is kind of the meat of the story, but really, I just want to touch on that one more time, just to go back to the earlier conversation we were having, where once again, not endorsing this, I think a lot of it was nasty work. But there is this admirable quality to this idea that we were talking about before, where you have these poor immigrants that are coming overseas, they're treated like shit, things are just not panning out the way that they thought they were going to, you come over here and everyone treats you like you are a second-class citizen.
Because you are
a second-class citizen. And then they're just...
And you shouldn't be, but... Yeah.
And then for a person that starts off at less than nothing, not just zero, but like negative because people hate you, and then to build a platform by yourself where you become more rich and powerful and respected than any of those people, there's something very inspirational about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't want to fucking murder anybody, but conceptually,
but that's what I'm saying. That's what's so interesting about mafia history in general is it's simultaneously the most primal, pure, crystallized version of quote unquote the American dream, and also this dark, perverted, fucked up anti-version of it wrapped into one. And the stories are always dramatic, and the characters are always flamboyant, and they always have weird nicknames, and like they look crazy. Like opulence, power corrupts absolutely, but opulence makes you look fucking goofy, which I love.
Hey, look, it's Davy the Swoosh Baker.
Exactly, right, yeah. Yeah, it's more like Davy the Schwitz Baker right now. Goddamn, it's fucking 1,000,000 degrees in here.
Hey, but this is just proof. This is what I was talking about before, that you wouldn't flourish in these times because Las Vegas was built by the Jewish mafia.
Yeah.
And they went out to the fucking desert.
Yeah.
And there was no fucking air conditioning.
Yeah, it's hot. Yeah.
And they were building casinos out there. Yeah. And building the fucking empire.
Yep.
You think it wasn't a little hot for them, Dave?
That's
you think
true.
It wasn't a little hot for them for a little while there?
I think it might
before
be.
they installed the central air in the fucking Bellagio or whatever the fuck? However, Gigante's most enigmatic maneuver was his elaborate portrayal of mental instability. To outsiders, he appeared as a disoriented figure, wandering the streets in sleepwear, muttering incoherently. This charade earned him the moniker the Oddfather. His behavior was so convincing that it baffled both the public and law enforcement, leading many to question his competency. And this is a picture of him wandering the streets in a fucking robe. I guess just like...
I love it.
Pretending to be crazy.
I just love the idea, too, that he's like, all right, I got this idea. I'm going to be a fucking crazy guy. I'm going to be fucking crazy. No one's going to fucking know what I'm going to do next. But I want to be comfy. Comfy's my fucking thing.
I mean, I kind of love it. It's the equivalent of the first episode of Hey Arnold. Do you remember the first episode of Hey Arnold?
At all, no.
The very first episode of Hey Arnold, which I think was like a pilot thing that they made independently and sold to Nickelodeon based on, was Arnold's getting bullied at school by Harold, the big dude with the backward baseball cap, who in the rest of the show, he kind of becomes like a friend of him. But in this first episode, he's like a bully. And he's trying to figure out how to deal with him, and he won't leave him alone. And then I forget if somebody tells him. I think he goes because he lives in the apartment building, the boarding house with all the random people, and he's like asking them for advice. And it's like his grandpa, his grandma, the neighbors, Mr. Wynn, I think his name is, the Russian guy. And he's going around asking for advice, and then I forget exactly how it plays out, but essentially they give him the advice to just act crazy. And so he goes to school the next day, and he plays this. Harold tries to come up and bully him, and he takes out a boombox and he presses play on it, and then there's this song that plays where it's like, "Don't hit me, I'll hit me. I'm crazy," and then he punches himself in the face, and then Harold's like, "Whoa, man, you're well, he doesn't say that, but he's like, "Whoa, man, you're crazy. I don't want any part of this," and he runs away, and then he leaves him alone forever after that, and is basically like,
that's what Vincent Gigante did. But
Vincent Gigante did that.
Yeah, but he's just like, "Hey, man, don't hit me, don't whack me. I'm comfy," and some dude's like, "Oh my god,
don't whack me." I'll whack me.
That dude's wearing fucking slippers. I could never
You can't walk up behind this guy and
fucking shoot him.
Shoot him execution style. He's wearing slippers.
That guy's wearing
slippies.
That guy's wearing slippies and comfy socks. God damn.
It also reminds me of I had this girlfriend years ago when I was in high school and a little out of high school. and her dad was quite a character, and he used to like tell me random stories and give me just like interesting, weird advice. And one of the things he told me, a story he told me where he was giving me advice about how to handle things whenever he gets into altercations in public, whenever there's like a stranger who's like harassing him, somebody's like giving him shit about something, or if there's like, you know, somebody, anytime that he's ever, you know, somebody been mugged or whatever back in like the 70s or whatever, he had this specific technique where if anybody was ever messing with him, he would just start talking about the flying tomato. And that was the specific thing that he latched onto, was he would just start talking about this thing called the flying tomato. And he would talk about it like it was a religion that he was a part of. And he'd be like, I got to tell you about the flying tomato. And he would just start like riffing, improving just crazy shit. And then the person would leave him alone because they thought that he was insane. And it was like, but it was that one specific phrase that he used every time. And one time he told me the story. He was like, "Yeah, I parked in this parking spot, and I didn't pay the meter, or I forgot to refill it or whatever. And I came back and I got there right as the parking attendant was giving me a ticket, and I just started talking to her about the flying tomato, and then she got really just weirded out, and she just left without giving me a ticket." And it's like, so if you ever are in a situation, you just gotta tell them about the flying tomato. So like, this is a move. This facade wasn't limited to public displays. Gigante's legal team presented extensive medical documentation attesting to his supposed mental deterioration. Between 1969 and 1995, he was hospitalized 28 times for psychiatric evaluations, with diagnoses ranging from schizophrenia to dementia. These records became pivotal in legal proceedings, often resulting in delayed trials and evaded convictions, which is a sort of perfect manipulation of the legal system that we have very unfortunately seen become more and more common. While it's easy to look at a big corporation prolong a trial with motions and hearings like some sort of wild financial blockade, this is what Gigante was doing. For every doctor's appointment or diagnosis Gigante's team presented, the prosecution was forced to discredit and disprove it, giving Gigante more time as a free man. This is the fucking Gish Gallop. If you're drafting, you're winning, baby. I mean, it's genius. It's ingenious. It's genius and ingenious. It's both.
I want to know, like, when this occurred to him. Like, you know, what lawyer did he talk to? What was the, like, okay, we got to get you committed once every 6 months. Like,
yeah, I wondered the same thing, because going back to the flying tomato story, I got the sense that the first time this ever happened, it was like a fight or flight reflex for him, where he just was in a situation where something happened, and he just like in the moment state. Just like went into a weird rant, and then it worked for him, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do that from now on." And I wondered the same thing. Like, was this a situation where he got arrested and he got brought in front of a courtroom and just in the moment possessed?
No, there's no way, because if this is a movie, you need to have that track set before you get arrested so you can use it as a defense to get off. So he's like, I'm crazy. Crazy like a fox. Crazy like a guy who's been committed 28 times.
Yeah, throughout from 1969 to 1994.
Yeah. Like, that's dedication to a bit.
Yeah. That's like Andrew WK times 1,000.
That's amazing.
Because the thing that we talked about a lot in the Andrew WK episode, there was a whole segment about it, which was basically like, how do you maintain a kayfabe persona for so long, for over a decade, and at that point 20 years or so? And the answer that we kind of came up with was like, you have to make the character similar enough to your real self that you can kind of always be in character. And sometimes when you're less on, you're not breaking the reality that you've created. So you can kind of, at times, you can just kind of be yourself. And nobody will really notice that much. They might kind of be like, if you're an obsessive weirdo who does a 4-hour episode that you spent like 3 months researching, you might notice the differences. But to the average person, they're not going to notice that, like, in this interview, you're kind of slightly less like talking about parties, and in this one you're really about parties, and you can kind of live in that spectrum. But this is like the hard opposite of that, where like he created a persona that couldn't be further from his real self, which was a person who was like mentally insane, and then he just like lived as that 24/7.
Well, the other thing too is like, it begs the question of what is the definition of your personal prison? Because for some people, the prison of the self is very difficult to reconcile with. For some people, the idea of going to an actual prison is the scariest thing on earth. And maybe it is. But also the idea of living 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as an insane...
For me, it's doing a podcast for 5 years with a guy who won't stop making fun of my bowling shirts.
Yeah, well, maybe if they fucking didn't suck, I wouldn't have to. Yeah.
He says as he's wearing a shirt that I fucking bought for him, you asshole.
Yeah, that's right.
He says as he's wearing a loving gift from me.
Anyway, Andrew, you got anything you want to promote?
We're just doing that.
Yeah, you got anything you want to promote?
Yeah, you can follow us on. I don't even, where's the break?
It's fine. We're going to the end of it. We're doing it.
You can follow us on social media by going to Facebook and searching Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Facebook group, the Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group, where we talk about the show. We make memes. We hang out. It's a cool little community. You can also join our Discord server by going to bit.ly.com/deepcutsdiscord. It's another cool little community where we talk about the show. We make memes. We play games. A couple of other things. It's a little bit more in-depth than the Facebook group. You can follow us on Instagram at Deep Cuts Pod. You can follow us on TikTok at Mystery Treehouse. You can go to our shop, deepcutspod.com. Click on the shop. You can get hats, t-shirts, baby onesies, fanny packs, coffee mugs with cool Deep Cuts graphics on them, drawn by artist friends as well as some by
Daniel Taraka.
Mr. Baker himself.
Yeah. Daniel Tarakas are the good ones. You should get those.
Yeah. And you can follow me on TikTok at Treehouse Detective, where I make cool long form fact and explainer videos talking about similar things to Deep Cuts, but a little bit more short form.
They're very good as well.
And you can also subscribe to my Substack, substack.treehousedetective.com, where I do long form articles. I recently did an article where I basically broke down a very strange episode of a show called Amazing Stories from the 80s that was created by Steven Spielberg, but for some reason nobody knows about it. You can subscribe there and read my long form content. Dave, what about you?
Nothing. No, I'm joking.
You did this joke last time.
I know. No, you could find my comics on the internet at havedavebaker.com or in comic book stores across the country. There's a new Godzilla book that's out right now that I wrote and drew. It's pretty cool. Godzilla Rivals, Space Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. That was fun to write. I liked that.
Yeah, I was plugging it, baby. Somebody in the Discord because we have a lot of different sub channels, and we have a comic. We have a book channel where we talk about books and comics. And somebody was posting about some Godzilla comic, and being like, I'm reading this right now, it's really cool. And I was like, fuck that. Fuck Joey Levine or whatever I forget the name of the artist. Check out this new Baker joint.
Yeah, I'm in the new Godzilla versus Los Angeles anthology. I wrote and illustrated an explainer comic using Godzilla characters about why does the LA Metro fucking suck? What happened to it? Why isn't there a subway here that's actually functional? It's a little silly comic about that, and also how they're trying to make it a little bit better. But that issue is pretty cool. It's me. I wrote and drew a story, and then Nicole Gu and Jordan. Oh no, I forgot his last name. Jordan
Morris?
Jordan Morris did a comic, and then also Jay Gonzo did a comic, and Gabe Hardman, the storyboard artist for The Dark Knight and Inception, did a comic. So it was a cool little lineup of people. They got LA locals to make a fucking book. That was cool.
Guess I wasn't invited because I live in Burbank.
Yeah. You can read all my other comics. They're around. Mary Tyler Moore Hawkins stuff. That's pretty chill. No organized crime comics yet, though.
Down there.
That's true, right over there, yeah.
Got Forest Hills Bootleg Society and Mary Tyler Moore Hawkins.
Yeah. Oh, what happened to the Jesse Moynihan?
You didn't write Watchmen, though.
No, I didn't.
Didn't fit on the table properly.
Oh, okay.
It was like the way that I had it positioned, it looked weird.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But yeah, you're right. I recently dug out my copies of Forming by Jesse Moynihan, which is a great book.
It's a great book.
Which is basically like this isn't even anything about the show at all, but it's basically like an illustrated Bible from an alternate reality where a world is created by a family of metaphysical beings, and then it's sort of like about the interpersonal drama of this family as they try to like basically do Genesis.
It's really cool.
And it's the illustrations are amazing. It's the interpersonal drama with the family is like really weirdly relatable.
It's cool.
And yeah, it's a great comic.
Yeah, if you haven't read Forming, you should find it. It might be a little pricey though. I think it's out of print right now. But
I didn't even know that. I bought those at Skylight Books in 2013.
I think they're out of print, but I'm not 100% sure. But I love Jesse Moynihan's work. I think he's very skilled. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get back to the show,
yeah,
I have to.
You wanted to issue a public apology to me? Aw,
I want to issue a public grievance.
Oh, a public grievance? Is it because I'm too nice to you and you're just angry about it?
Anybody who's listened to the last like 2 episodes of the show will not agree with that.
Is it because
I've said this multiple times, but you came back bitchy.
Yeah.
There's a pre-hiatus Dave and a post-hiatus Dave.
Yeah.
And if you don't know the order, because these episodes don't come out in chronological order, sometimes some get released before others based on some kind of logistical reason.
Yeah.
But anybody listening will know which episodes were recorded pre and post-hiatus.
Is it, or is it just I'm like a gregarious guy? Who can say? Who can fucking say, man?
I can.
Yeah,
and it's not.
It's probably true.
I talked about this on a previous episode, which may or may not actually have been released yet. But I talked about the fact that I made a TikTok video about Dan O'Neill, which was another episode we did about a guy who was in a lawsuit with Disney in the 70s and kind of low-key won a bunch of rights for fair use and parody that we still use to this day because he drew Mickey Mouse porn comics. And a friend of the show knows Dan O'Neill, and he's the one that sort of connected with us to be able to make that episode and interview him in the first place. And they were making a documentary and they're doing a Kickstarter. I talked about the Kickstarter on the show, and I made a TikTok video about Dan O'Neill that plugged the Kickstarter, and it went very well. The video got a lot of views. I introduced Dan O'Neill and sort of what he did and the story of it to a lot of younger people. And also that Kickstarter got funded the rest of the way, a few days after my video went out. So I was like really excited about that. I was like, wow, I'm not saying that I 100% am responsible for this, but like, I feel like this is like one of the most useful things I've ever done with my social media platform.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking about like, oh, what are some other like cool stories that I could like sort of spread awareness about and get more recognition to these people that made these really cool things that I love that are not necessarily super mainstream or known about, especially nowadays. Whereas even, in the 2000s, maybe they were more well known and now just completely just have escaped the cultural zeitgeist. And so I started making a couple of videos about that. I made a video about IKEA Heights, which was a Channel 101 show from the 2000s where they shot a soap opera inside of IKEA in Burbank without their permission. So it's just a soap opera where you can see customers walking by in the background and like looking around corners. Made a video about that. Got 2 million views. Cool. Love it.
That's amazing.
Love spreading awareness. I made a video about the Velocity Gnome. Horrible reaction. People hated this.
Yeah.
And
but it did get a lot of views, though.
Got a lot of views. It's going to be like 3 million views. And there were people that resonated with it and liked it and thought it was cool.
I was one of them.
But a massive, I would say overwhelming reaction was hatred. People hated this. A lot of people saying that this was stalking and harassment. A lot of people saying, like, this guy could have had mental health issues and they could have sent him into a mental health spiral. A lot of people just saying like, this is fucking stupid, waste of time. And we talked about the inherent issues with it. We It's not like we didn't.
When we did the episode
on the episode about it,
I think I also was just like, this seems so dangerous.
We talked about that. We interrogated that, and we also talked about it with Joe and Dylan. Like we did, like we actually engaged. I mean, we didn't like grill them or like interrogate them, but we talked extensively about like this could have gone very differently in a lot of different situations. You had this kid walking around in public places, like looking in corners and things like that. You know, not to get overly racial about it, but if he wasn't a white guy, this could have gone differently. If somebody's seeing him poking around and, you know, people calling the cops, that's a thing that happens far too frequently. Yeah. It could have gone very differently. He could have had mental health issues, and this could have been an issue for them. We talked about that stuff, but I feel like the reaction on this video on TikTok specifically was so just over the top that I'm just like, where is your sense of whimsy? Where is your sense of like appreciating people for taking wild swings and doing weird stuff?
Yeah, but are you really surprised at that? I'm not.
I'm not surprised about it. I expected the reaction.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post this video. I'm gonna predict that there's gonna be some people who are saying that this was like stalking, this was harassment.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I was not surprised. I expected it. I did not expect it to this degree.
Sure.
Where like most people hated this story.
Here's my question. I know this is craven and cynical to look at it this way, but like, do you think it got pushed out to more people where the quotient of like the vocal anger pushes it out to more people, and inherently it finds more people that like it that wouldn't have found it if it wasn't for the anger? So even though the quotient of anger views are there and people commenting this is stalking, that then there is the knock-on effect of like 20% more people that did like it saw it because of that negative reaction. And is that math worth it to you?
I mean, that's absolutely why the video did well. Like that's not craven. That's just absolutely why it happened.
Yeah.
Whether or not it pushed out more people that would have been into the story, I don't know. I would like to hope so. I would like to hope that you're right and like my video just like fell into the wrong track and it could have had a whole other audience of people who just really appreciated the story. I'd like to hope that you were right about that. I don't know though, but that's absolutely why the video did well. Because that's the thing, is like the thing you learn as when you make content on social media, and you know this to many different degrees, but particularly on TikTok, more than any other platform I've ever utilized or been on or whatever, videos do well primarily because of like what it's like Inception. Videos do well primarily because of one kernel of an idea that a large number of people have the exact same thought at the exact same time. And it does well predicated on the fact that all of these people are going to have the same exact thought about it. And sometimes that's neutral. Sometimes it's like, I had a video where I speculated about why the character Oogie Boogie, what his role was in the world of Nightmare Before Christmas, because he's like, he lives in Halloween Town, but like he seems like people don't like him, and he hates Jack, who's like the king of this place. But then like the three little kid characters, they're like his henchmen, but they also work for Jack. So I made a video just being like, what is this guy? Like, why does he live here? What is his role in this society? And the video got 5 million views, and I got probably no less than 10,000 comments of people being like, they were lovers. The same comment. And sometimes it's something neutral like that. Like, 10,000 people had the same dumb joke.
Sure. Sometimes
it's like really positive, like the Dan O'Neill video, for example, where it was a bunch of people being like, this guy's the GOAT. There was a funny little offshoot of it where a lot of people were saying that he was the OG of furry porn. which is still
It's still not untrue.
It's not untrue.
It's not untrue.
Sometimes, though, it's a very negative thing where a video will explicitly go viral and get millions of views because everybody is like, you look like shit. Or like your idea is bad and you suck and you aren't a real person and you're not a valid human. Like sometimes it's that.
Yeah. When it when it is one of those frustrating, weird barnacle ideas like that, are you able to kind of tune it out, or does it put you in a funk for a few days?
I mean, yes and no. I unlike it seems like a lot of other people on social media, like because you see people.
Well, because it's interesting because sometimes you go into the comments and argue with people.
Yeah, I go,
and sometimes you don't at all, which is always interesting to me. When I'm like, always curious about what gets like paragraph levels response from you and what doesn't.
I go into the comments and argue with people whenever I sense that the video is like on the precipice of getting a lot more views if it's just pushed a little bit further, and then you basically have to just stir up dissemination in the comments. Sometimes if a video is just obviously going to flop, I have zero reason to go into the comments and waste my time commenting because I can just tell the video isn't going to do well, so there's no point. And sometimes the video is just so immediately does well that I'm just like, this has a life of its own. I don't need to do anything. This video is just a banger no matter what.
But it's always a decision like that for you on that like front of what will provide the best lifespan for this piece of content, and
mostly
not
that.
Sometimes
it's predicated on I see a narrative in the comments that I think is going to be damaging to what I'm saying in the video. Like somebody says something that contradicts something that I'm saying, and I see it as a possible detriment to like people taking my video seriously or like thinking that what I'm saying is accurate.
Yeah. And
so I kind of feel obligated to go in and try to correct things and be like, no, that's not true, or like, no, that's not what's happening. And then sometimes that can get me sucked into a back and forth where I say that, and then I get like 10 other comments that are like, no, you're a fucking idiot, like it's this or whatever. And then I get lost down this rabbit hole of like, I have to have the final word so that whenever people look at this video, they see that like I resolved this confusion or whatever. And sometimes that just can never happen. And it's just a fool's errand to try to like convince these people that you're right or whatever. Yeah. And sometimes you can get a little lost going down that rabbit hole and then eventually be like, what the fuck am I doing? Stop. This is dumb.
Right.
So it's like one of those two. I'm either just straight up like full transparency, just like rage baiting people to get comments because it's easier to argue with people than it is to be like, I love you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, I feel like this thing this person is saying is going to damage the validity of my video, and I have to go in here and say something so that people can see that, and this comment section doesn't turn into everybody saying that I am an idiot and don't know what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
But I really hate doing it. I don't like doing it at all, and I wish I didn't have to do it. And if I didn't do that, if it wasn't for the fact that I kind of feel obligated to engage, I wouldn't care at all. These are strangers.
Yeah.
And you can see other people on TikTok that seem like weirdly very invested in the opinions of the commenters, and they feel like it's like this very personal thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, who gives a shit? You'll never meet this person.
Yeah.
Who cares if this person thinks you're wrong or you're an idiot or you suck or whatever?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, it's interesting though, the idea of kind of stock comments or like things that seem to reverberate at a kind of level that is requiring a similar response from an audience member, because I mean, at a much smaller scale than you, I get that same stuff where it's the same, like probably 5 comments on everything I make, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of them are positive and some of them are like really annoying and negative. And you just have to kind of, you know, roll with the punches. But it's interesting to think about that in terms of you as a person inherently are going to elicit one of 5 responses, and you can kind of weight things in one way or another, but you're going to get one of those 5 responses regardless. So you probably should buckle up and become accustomed to that, which is interesting and kind of dark on one level and kind of freeing on another.
Yeah, I mean, it is dark. It is freeing to realize that you can just ignore that because who cares?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that, like, you know, because there are certain things that have happened on social media where, you know, somebody just gets a lot of hate, like something like the internet just decides to turn someone into the villain of the week.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't do anything, they committed no sin greater than, like, they put out a song that was kind of bad or whatever.
And that has happened so much on TikTok over the last probably 5 years, where, like, there are some people on movie TikTok that I don't really care for necessarily. They seem kind of fine or whatever. But it feels like once every couple months, movie TikTok picks one of these 5 or 6 people and just says, this person's evil. And it's like, they're a person making videos about movies on the internet. I really don't think they are. I might not agree with what they're saying, but, like, they're just like a person. Like, what the fuck do you
and why
mean?
are you so personally and emotionally invested in just, like,
taking them down?
Yeah,
like, it's so
just
weird.
Like a person that makes, like, movie review videos.
It's really strange.
Like, this says more about you than it does about that person.
Completely agree.
And the thing that annoys me, like the thing we were talking about before of, like, yeah, you just kind of have to ignore it, and it's kind of freeing whenever you realize that why would you care? It's literally just a stranger. I know everything in your brain is telling you to care about it because our brains don't recognize the difference between sitting in front of a person and talking to them and then reading text on a screen of a person that lives in Kentucky or whatever. Not picking on Kentucky, but just far away place.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. It's very freeing. But on the other side of that, a thing that really annoys me is the attitude of, like, when something like that happens, where somebody just gets, like, what could only be described as, like, a mass bullying event.
Yeah.
By millions of people on the internet for, like, I just kind of made, like, a weird song, or, like, I made a video where I had a weird opinion about Superman or something like that.
Yeah, totally.
The idea, if that happens, and then you're just like, this is kind of fucked up. Like, why is everybody being so mean to this person? And then the reaction to that, which is like, this your first time on the internet, or like, when you make videos, you're putting yourself out there, so you know you have to develop a thick skin, and it's like, really, like in any other scenario, never would, like, suck up and deal with it be the solution.
100%.
Like, just because that is how it is doesn't mean that it should be.
Yeah.
Like, yes, when you do this, you have to just ignore those things and grow a thick skin and roll with the punches, as you said. But also, like, it's okay to dream of a different way where it's not millions of people engaging in a public cruelty act for the sake of, like,
the weird performative flagellation.
Yeah. It's okay to think that's not a thing that should happen.
This has been a great hour-long
and
episode of the show.
Back to the show. Act 2. The Unraveling of Deception. Despite Gigante's meticulous performance, cracks began to appear in his veneer. Law enforcement agencies, growing increasingly skeptical, intensified their surveillance. Wiretaps and informants started to paint a contrasting picture of Gigante's mental state. In the early 1990s, high-profile mafia turncoats, including Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano and former boss of the Gambino family, testified that Gigante's insanity act was a strategic ploy to avoid prosecution, and that in their clandestine meetings, Gigante was right as rain, even stating everything was a smokescreen to avoid prosecution. When this all came to light, it completely destroyed Gigante's long-standing defense. In 1997, after protracted legal battles, Gigante was convicted on charges of racketeering and conspiracy to commit murder. Despite his conviction, he continued to manage the family's affairs from prison, relying on intermediaries to relay his directives, including his son Andrew. The final blow to his charade came in 2003. Facing additional charges of obstruction of justice, Gigante, perhaps recognizing the futility of maintaining his ruse, admitted in court that his decade-long insanity act was a calculated deception. This confession marked the end of one of the most elaborate cons in organized crime history. But, like, what an impressive feat, though. Like, I mean, it's like the cracks began to appear, yeah, sure, fine. But, like, in 1997, he started like pretending like he was crazy in the late 60s. And he was able to maintain that and stay out of prison until almost the year 2000.
It's a performance art piece named I Ain't Going to Jail. Like,
yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like, hey, Andrew WK, why are you doing this 20-year-long performance art character where you pretend like you're this weird robot clone guy who's been manufactured by the record industry? And he's just like, because of the, the dichotomy of art versus commerce and the way that we create and deify celebrities. And Vincent Gigante is like, hey, Vincent Gigante, why are you pretending like you're crazy? Because I don't want to go to fucking prison.
Yep. Y'all seen that prison? I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. So
he's like an outsider artist of performance artists.
Y'all seen that flying tomato? that is my testimony, Your Honor. Y'all seen that flying tomato?
I love that we've canonized that. There's a listener of the show who that's their stepdad. So we've
amazing.
We've canonized it, baby.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel like, and maybe this is just me being like an art dork, but there's something about thinking outside the box to the degree that you're like, I'm going to dedicate myself to this preemptive insanity plea, because I've always been like, why don't all these guys just plead insanity? And then some lawyer is like, well, because you have to have a prior history of mental illness.
Oh, really?
Oh, reallys. Oh, fucking reallys, you says. Somebody give me my slippers.
He's like, look, I took it on the chin from Joey the Chugs Riviero 30 times in the ring. I can do this.
I can fucking be crazy. You need somebody to be fucking crazy? I'll be doing it. They don't call me the chin for nothing. Actually, you might want to get a different nickname, Mr. Gigante. You might want to be like Mad Dog or like Kooky Loon or something. He's like, no, fuck it. I'm going to be the chins.
I'm going to say that it's because I think that my chin is where my soul is. And, and the giant tomato harvests my soul from my chin by sucking on my dimple.
You ever seen that fucking Robert Zada? Guess what? Cherubism, bitch. That's what I got. But instead of amassing calcium on my lower jaw, I'm amassing fucking crazy.
It's so impressive though, because it's like Andrew WK, this is impressive. You do this for 20 years. People stopped caring after like the first year. You just kept on doing it. You basically faked your own death. I mean, you really didn't, because you got married to Kat Dennings and like there was like wedding photos and shit like that. But like narratively, you faked your own death, and you've just it's like it's been 5 years and you're still just dead. Like this is a impressive commitment to the bit, but this is a whole other level where it's like your life depended on it. Like you were dancing for your dinner.
Yeah,
this wasn't just a fun little.
No, it's like a high wire act, like a tightrope walk act. But the downside is you get raped in prison.
Yeah, the stakes are way higher.
The stakes are so high. It's like, all right, how do I really get into the mindset of being like someone who's mentally ill? Oh, there's a dude named Bruno who's gonna rape me? Oh, okay. No, I can pretend to be crazy. That's no problem. No problem at all. He's like got Meisner. He's like studying with Stella Adler. He's like really taking it seriously. And they're like, Vincent, I just think you really need to go inside out, not outside in. And he's like, no, I gotta go. I ain't going to prison, okay? None of the fucking prison going in me.
I mean, and that makes you think, like, did he have a singular talent for committing to this bit, or would anybody be? Well, I mean, but that's not true, because so many people have been, have gone to prison.
Yeah.
So Is he just the first? Is he just the one that had this crazy idea?
Well,
or is he the one that, or is he the only one who had the stuff to commit to it?
Well, this is interesting because we've talked before, both on the show and off the show, about this idea of like real life superheroes and also specifically like real life supervillains. And like, there's only a couple people in the real world, other than like political officials who've like committed genocide. Like that's a supervillain behavior, but it's a little different because you've been elected to public office and you're like corrupted by power or whatever. But the Zodiac is a real life supervillain. You know what I mean? Fucking Richard McCaslin thankfully didn't succeed in hurting anybody, but that guy is like a literal real life supervillain. He wears a costume, he's a domestic terrorist, he tried to burn down these fucking, he's got a motivation that he's very clear about. Real life supervillain. But this idea of pretending to be crazy in order to get out to keep doing crime is the most like Arkham Asylum Batman.
Yeah, it's like, it's not supervillain, it's like fucking Despicable Me supervillain.
Yeah.
It's like a cartoon supervillain.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It's like, it's a crazy scheme.
Yeah. It's
This could be described as a crazy scheme.
This is like, you know how everybody on the internet loves to be like, well, if I was Batman in Gotham City, I'd fucking murder the Joker because it's stupid that every time he gets out of Arkham, he keeps going crime. It's like, what you don't know about this is the Joker's totally sane, and he's Vincent Gigante, and he's pretending to be crazy as a loophole for all of this crime that he's doing.
Yeah, and Batman's just like, oh God, come on, Gordon. He's obviously fucking around. Like this is a bit. He's committing to a bit.
He's committing to a bit. Yeah. Gordon is like, well, Batman, the Fifth Amendment says we gotta fucking, we gotta fucking allow him to be crazy or whatever.
Batman's just like, come on, haven't you ever heard of Andrew WK?
Andrew WK.
You know what the difference between you and Andrew WK is? You're not wearing tennis shoes.
You don't party. Gordon starts listening to one
You're
of the songs.
not partying hard.
Gordon starts listening, pulls out a little iPod guy who's listening to a song on his phone or whatever. And he's like, oh, this song's not too bad. Batman? Batman's gone from the roof. And he's like, fuck. So that's what it feels like. Turns around, and there's just like an army of guys dressed as fucking Andrew WK partying. He's like, yeah. Let's do this.
Yeah, it really is. It's not even just Batman Arkham Asylum supervillain. It is 1960s
totally
fucking
Cesar Romero,
Adam West Batman supervillain.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, fucking Vincent Gigante is wearing face makeup of his own face and has his mustache underneath that painted over.
And you gotta love him for it.
Yeah. I think the other thing that's interesting about Vincent Gigante though is that some of these people in organized crime, they start at the bottom and they work their way up. Like he was a literal trigger man, like he was assigned to commit an assassination, didn't succeed, did succeed, whatever. Kept his mouth shut, stayed loyal, and slowly moved up the ranks of the corporate ladder of the fucking Genovese crime family, right? But some people, they just are born as the fucking, head mobster's son or whatever, and then they get jumped in or whatever, and now you're...
Yeah, these fucking Nepo babies, they would never commit to pretending like they were crazy for fucking 30 years.
Yeah, they're like, well, my daddy's gonna fucking pay the cops off and it'll be fine. It's like, no, dude. You gotta live the life of an insane person for 40 years.
Yeah, no way.
Mm-mm. But it's interesting, there is a strain of insanity that runs through mafia history, like, obviously, and this is a real one. Al Capone went insane because he had syphilis.
Riddled with syphilis.
And it ate his brain.
Yeah, Vincent Gigante was like, yeah, I got that syphilis. That's what it is. Yeah, I totally fucked like 40 broads.
Yeah.
I didn't even check. Who fucking knew? No condom.
Yeah.
Didn't even ask.
Yeah. It's just, he's like, y'all seen this Josh Trank movie where Al Capone's just like foughting the whole time? You seen that one? That's gonna be me. He's like, yeah, fucking Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy played Al Capone.
You see this Josh Trank movie? Oh, Fantastic Four? Yeah, what the fuck was up with that?
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
They tried to turn it into like a body horror thing.
That fucking sucks. That fucking sucks. The Fantastic Four is supposed to be
It's
like
enough to make a guy go crazy.
The Fantastic Four is supposed to be a beacon of hope and optimism filtered through the lens of retro 60s aesthetics. What the fuck is this shit? Fucking Cronenberg?
That was his insanity defense. He was driven insane by the Josh Trank.
He's like, Cronenberg?
Fantastic Four
He's like,
reboot?
Cronenberg fan-tastic? That shit sucked. It's enough to make you go crazy.
That was his insanity plea. Or that's the reason why his insanity plea didn't work. He was a man before his time.
He was a man before his time.
If he was born if he was alive in 2016.
Well, you know why? It's because he was standing in the hallway outside the court, and one of the reporters overheard him saying, "You know, I didn't hate Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm. I thought that was okay. And the guy tape recorded it, ran to the judge, and was like, "Sir, we got new evidence.
We got him. Smoking gun.
The smoking gun. He's not crazy." Yeah, I don't understand. Why did they get fucking Jamie Bell, the boy who would be Tintin, to be Ben Grimm? Like, Ben Grimm is supposed to be like a giant fucking lug. This guy's like 5'6". He's English. He's dainty. That's not fucking Ben Grimm.
He's like Miles Teller, the professional celebrity douchebag.
Look,
he's gonna be Mr. Fantastic.
Look, this Miles Teller kid, he's talented. Okay, you seen this fucking Top Gun? This Top Gun, he's good in this movie. He's no fucking Reed Richards. The fucking smartest guy in the Marvel Universe? I don't fucking think so. The patriarch of Marvel's first family? What the fuck is this shit?
Kate Mara, I could have taken her leaving.
Yeah, she's kind of bland. Also, the reshoots, her wig is fucking awful in those reshoots. It's enough to drive you crazy.
But Michael B. Jordan, I kind of bought it. Judge,
the smoking gun. Josh Trank is watching the trial on TV, just like shedding a single tear, being like, "Someone got it."
The guy who's using it as a fake plea to pretend like he's crazy to get out of a prison sentence got it.
He got it. My Boba Fett movie would have been so good. Bring, 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 bring. Tom Hardy, I've got an idea. Farts off camera.
That ecosystem should be studied. The Chronicle ecosystem of jump-starting the careers of Josh Trank and Max Landis, and then everything that happened after that. It needs to be studied.
Well, even just like the fact that, look, Max Landis sucks. He's been accused of sexual assault by multiple people. There's horrible stories about him pitting friends against each other to have them like fight for his pleasure. Like, he seems like
be within his sphere of influence.
He seems like an awful person. But I like Chronicle as a movie.
But here's the thing, I do too. Chronicle is good. All that other stuff notwithstanding, leave out any of the sexual assault stuff or whatever. Let's pretend like he's just a normal guy. I have never seen a career like this in my life, where somebody wrote one good movie that I like and enjoy, and I think it is valuable, and then coasted off of that one movie for like 15 years,
but he got other things made, which is so crazy,
and never made a single other movie that was even remotely good.
American Ultra sucks. Victor Frankenstein sucks.
Bright
sucks. Didn't he make another movie that he directed that was like a rom-com maybe or something? I don't know. I haven't seen that one. It's like You and Me and Alice or something like that.
I don't. That doesn't ring a bell.
But I don't know. But like his fucking Death of Superman YouTube
There's another
video.
movie he made that is, maybe this is what you're talking about. It's got Sam Rockwell and blanking on her name, but the girl from Pitch Perfect and Twilight. And it's like he's a hitman, and then he's like, I think he's like undercover or trying to reform himself, and then he meets the girl, the woman. I can't blank on her name, and then it's like a romantic comedy, but like, and he gets pulled back into the world of hitting men, and then she like
Boxing?
becomes his like accomplice, and it's like a romantic comedy assassin film.
He's like, I got this idea. It's called Leon the Professional, but age appropriate.
Leon the Professional, age appropriate, but terrible.
Right. Yeah, that's the devil's bargain, because it's like, all right, do you want to watch Leon the Professional, but you're like passively condoning pedophilia, or watch this movie?
Do you want to watch an awful movie where everybody's over 18?
Yeah. It's like, look, this guy's an artist. It's fucking amazing, but also it's gonna be gross, and it's like weird, and like little girls are gonna be in love with adult men, or it just sucks. It just sucks, but everyone's totally legal. But man, does it
Nobody
suck.
did anything wrong, but it's awful.
Nobody did anything wrong, but it has the level of creative ambition of a Showtime original.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't even seen it, but that's pretty accurate. But yeah, just somebody who made one good movie and then got like 6 other movies made. Not a single one of them is good.
He also wrote that one that's like, I think it's like a monster movie underneath the water on like a station, deep sea station, and Kristen Stewart is in it. I can't think of the name of that movie, but he also wrote that one. Like, he's written like a ton of movies that got made, and they are all not good. They're all not good.
And not just like by my standards.
No, yeah,
like
everybody hates them.
They're just horrible movies.
Yeah, everybody hates them. Well, on that note, I'm Dave Baker.
And I'm Andrew Price.
This has been Deep Cuts. If you'd like to find me on the internet, you can do so at heydavebaker.com. You can also find my book, Forest Hills Bootleg Society. Hey, it's here.
No, you showed our monitor.
Oh, shit.
An elaborate facade.
Sorry. If you'd like to find my book, Forest Hills Bootleg Society, published by Simon & Schuster, Athenaeum, you can find it wherever comics are sold. It's about a bunch of bullied teenage girls who start a bootleg hentai distribution ring in their school in order to try and make money. It's more all ages appropriate than it sounds. Andrew, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find my book, Popeye?
Popeye?
You can find my book, Deadbolt AI Private Eye, by going to my website, dapricewrites.com, and picking it up. It's a comic about a robot detective in the future that solves crimes and deals with existential ennui. You can follow us on social media by going to Facebook and searching the Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Facebook group, Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group, where we talk about the show, we make memes, we do other stuff. It's a fun little community that hangs out. You can also join our Discord server, bit.ly.com/deepcutsdiscord. It's another cool community where we talk about the show, we make memes, we hang out, we play games, other cool stuff like that. You can follow us on Instagram at DeepCutsPod. You can follow us on TikTok at Mystery Treehouse. You can follow us on our website and get some merch by going to deepcutspod.com and clicking on the shop, and you can get hats and shirts and onesies and all kinds of fun stuff with Deep Cuts graphics on it. And you can follow me on TikTok at Treehouse Detective, where I make fun explainer videos, kind of a mini version of Deep Cuts. And you can also subscribe to my Substack, substack.treehousedetective.com, where I write long form articles.